Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going over everything relevant to Mortal Online 2 and its development that was mentioned in the weekly developer livestream hosted by Henrik, the CEO of strongholds. I'm gonna go over every single relevant detail that was mentioned so nothing is left out, then give my thoughts on everything as a whole throughout. Leave a like if you enjoy this type of video and subscribe if you want to see more, and let's get into it. First off, Henrik mentioned it has been a busy week for the developers, then over the rest of the 2.5-hour stream told us the following. They've identified the issue that caused the recent rollback and put a measure in place so that it should never be a thing again. Hard work was also carried out this week by the staff team that works on monitoring tools to stop cheaters and exploiters, and they made a big cleanup recently and dealt with hacks, dupes and bag exploits. 300 accounts were wiped from the game, and 100 houses and strongholds were also removed, as well as a ton of gold. Henrik said that 600,000 gold was removed, as well as 725,000 duped gold, 750k gold worth of items and resources were also removed, and another 750k gold worth of duped items and resources were removed. Henrik is also aware that many players have been calling for a full wipe, but says that they want to wipe the cheaters' accounts and items from the game instead, and he says that the highest priority for the staff team working on that is to do just that. Their focus is on identifying, solving, tracking and removing cheaters and their items and gold. He's aware that for that to work they need sophisticated tools in different departments, and staff have been extremely busy going through the database and logs in great detail and depth. This takes a lot of resources, which means less resources than they'd like can be spent on developing the game itself, but for them to be able to get the right numbers and see what's going on in the world, they're aware that they need proper real-time monitoring tools, and that's exactly what has just been built. They have dedicated staff members who do nothing other than go through the data, and every day they get reports on what goes in and out of the game, and they understand that it's an unfortunate necessity to have that. But Henrik doesn't believe a wipe would fix anything, as new exploits will always be found, and so there will not be a wipe. He believes the solution isn't to wipe, but to keep tracking and battling the cheaters continuously. So far, this all sounds really good, and it does seem like a lot of work has really been put into developing the tools needed to be able to actually track down cheaters and exploiters to some extent, as well as the items and gold associated with their accounts. This is great for the game and a good long-term approach, especially knowing that there's now dedicated staff working on identifying cheaters and items or gold generated by them one way or another with real-time monitoring tools. Let's continue. Since Project Polish began, they've identified and solved 185 bugs, and a lot of core code refactoring was also carried out, which has had a huge impact for stability and coding for the future. Henrik acknowledged that this was an issue in the first game and says this will allow them to expand the game and add new features a lot more easily. GM petitions have also been reduced by around 60% due to the bugs fixed, and this has also helped them a lot so that they can focus on other things. Now they're identifying the final current bugs that are game breaking or lowering the game experience, and there was a recent breakthrough on a ghost avatar bug that some may be aware of. The network system now fully supports extremely large battles of at least 400 players without network issues, which is great to hear, and they still have optimizations to carry out for increasing the client FPS so that you get a better frame rate in large battles and in general when playing the game, and there are quite a few things that they can do in that regard, which they will do over time. They've been continuously working in the background on scaling up the overall server capacity and performance so that they can handle very great numbers, and they have specific goals, and Henrik is very confident that they'll reach the numbers of players that they want for Merland. This is all really great to hear as well, as the server issues at launch really killed a lot of the hype and momentum for the game at the time, but it looks like huge improvements have been made in that area and are still being made in the background. It's also really good to hear that further optimizations are being made so that we'll have a smoother experience with better frame rates over time. Everything is looking good for the future of the game, and I like the optimism here. Henrik now dives into Unreal Engine 5 and what it will mean for Mortal Online 2 going forward, and he says the following. The upgrade to Unreal Engine 5 will remove the issue with node lines and level streams that we've had for so long, meaning your game won't freeze or lag whenever you run from one zone to another and happen to pass through an invisible borderline of some kind. You can't see it, but you know it's there when you go through it, and it's always been an annoying limitation of the game's big open world, but Unreal Engine 5 will fix that, which is really good to hear. Nanites are going to be used, and the entire world terrain is being rebuilt for much better visuals and performance, and this will also help with the node lines and level streaming mentioned before, so you can expect way more detailed and realistic graphics in general. This will make the game world a lot more immersive and beautiful while actually improving the client performance at the same time. Lumens, which is a next generation lighting system from Unreal Engine 5, will also be brought to the game, and this will bring about a big leap forward in having a global illuminated world, further adding to the immersion. Aside from all the improvements there, it will actually be much easier for the game's artists to work with the game in a more efficient work environment as well, meaning it will be quicker and easier for them to produce more content or make the world look better going forward. A lot of other benefits will also be coming with Unreal Engine 5, but many are very technical and so they weren't mentioned on the stream. Again, this is all really good news, and it looks like Unreal Engine 5 will really bring a lot of improvements to the game, which I'm sure we're all excited about. This game is incredibly immersive as it is, and I'm happy to see that they're going to be pushing it further in every way that they can while removing the issue with node lines that we've had for so long at the same time. Now we're going to go into some of what Henrik said in the random questions and answers part of the stream. They are already working with Unreal Engine 5.1 to make use of the latest technology, and so they won't be behind in any way by using Unreal Engine 5 without using the latest version of it and all it has to offer. They now have much better tools that they can use for real-time monitoring and can look back in time as well as follow transaction steps. Regarding the recent bag exploit, they noticed a very interesting link between certain players and bag exploiters, and so they were able to identify and ban every single shady player. They try to keep up with new exploits as they know cheating will never end, and they've also been reading up on what other developers have been doing to combat that, and it's continually being improved. Weapon poison will come to the game in the future along with assassination skills at some point, and will appear on the roadmap closer to the time. They never store any credit card info on their site and never have, and they use third-party payment providers who spend millions on security so that your payment information is always safe, and you don't need to worry about it even if the Mortal Online 2 website got hacked in any way. There will be staffs or staves you can use with magic in the future, which will promote new playstyles, and after elementalism, they want players to have a vote on what will come next in terms of magic schools, but also some other game features in general. Henrik said that they're now far enough in other areas of combat that they're finally getting into adding content for melee foot fighters, such as special ability moves for all weapon groups and a special adrenaline system. They're looking to focus on improving the new player experience and may have guards patrol outside the newbie cities as well, with some areas having high security and some having lower security. You might have just one or two guards patrolling the path to the graveyard in Fabenham, for example, which deters criminals and does still offer some protection for new players, but that could be killed by enough players if they wanted to. They think that really serious players should be more concerned with protecting their own cities or strongholds and not killing newbies near NPC towns once the territory control system is added. The next patch is currently undergoing testing and should be out pretty soon. All weapon types, including bows, will get special attacks, they'll be adding more NPCs in towns to make them feel more alive, and they'll be making swapping weapons more fluid and responsive. Henrik mentioned that if there was an extremely important valid reason for a wipe and they couldn't fix whatever issue came up, then they would consider a wipe. But aside from that, they have no plans to do that. There will be a new type of currency when it comes to territory control, so that everyone will be starting from zero when the system comes out. They're also planning on adding demons to the game, but they'll be very different apparently to how they were in the first game. They're looking for more developers, especially ones with very specific skills, and have been receiving many applications. They've also hired headhunters to help find the right people. You will be able to trade and demolish your house at some point, and trading and transportation will be very important when territory control comes to the game, and that will in turn promote more player movement and possible player conflicts. After the current roadmap, they're going to let the community be very involved in what they want to see next, including what kinds of features, which areas to focus on, and more, and they'll prioritize those. There will be many more types of trinkets coming in the future, including ones that affect or work with clade gifts. Henrik also mentioned that most players are quite poor and actually don't have much money in the game. He also mentioned that there will always be cheats, but what's important is that they can detect them and ban players, which is why they've so heavily invested in the tools needed and dedicated staff to combat them continuously. There is a plan B in place for the Epic Store release if way too many people try to play, and they will scale up as needed. Most people still haven't even heard of the game yet, and they're still in the beginning of its long journey with territory control not having been added yet. They plan to pick up marketing again on a large scale worldwide along with the Epic release and the TC content. They're working on a knockdown mechanic. They plan to make Haven free and offer Twitch drops with game time once the subscription goes live. Sewers for the town of Morinker are being developed. They plan to further expand on fishing in the game, and they're very interested in hearing feedback from the community and will be opening up more ways for us to provide it to them in future streams and maybe something else. Well, that's it guys, there's quite a lot of info there, and that's pretty much everything relevant to Mortal Online 2 and its development that was talked about in the stream. I hope you found this video useful, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.